Hi, and welcome back to Pace Law Firm. Here with us again is immigration expert Andy Semichuk. Today we are going to be discussing some immigration basics. So Andy, tell me, what are some of the most common immigration problems you deal with?
Well, as both a U.S. and also a Canadian immigration lawyer, I see the problems coming in both from the U.S. point of view and the Canadian one. Basically, the problems are similar. People get stopped at the border because they have a criminal record, or because they've had some kind of previous immigration problem, or because the border official, the immigration officer inspecting the individual at the border, feels that they're coming in for an improper reason. For any of those kinds of problems, and also for work visas or when people get married with someone from abroad, all these kinds of people have immigration problems, and they come and contact me or come into the office to discuss them.
Now, a problem that people might be facing, let's just say an American marries a Canadian. What are the immigration challenges involved with that?
A few such couples realize that from the moment they get married, they have an immigration problem. I like to describe those kind of couples as cross-border couples. The problem is that they either need to live in the United States or in Canada, and they're going to have to deal with immigration issues in order to achieve that goal. And strangely as it may seem, that area, cross-border couples, is one of the most complicated immigration problems there is. And the reason for that is because the couple is forced to make a choice. And the choice that they have to make is either live together, but not allow or be able to have the foreign spouse work, or live apart and have each of them work, but not together until the foreign spouse gets the paperwork. So that's an area that I work in and try to help out these couples in terms of getting together and getting their immigration papers.
Andy, what are the main ways to immigrate to the United States?
Well, there are 5 basic ways to immigrate to the United States. One is to claim asylum or refugee status. A second is to basically study your way in, that is to say, get an education through a university or college. A third way is to marry your way in, and that's a shorthand way of saying if you have family members or if you indeed get married in a legitimate marriage, that you can be sponsored to have your way into the United States. A fourth way is to work your way in, that is to say, get a job offer that involves an employer sponsoring you to come into the United States. And a final way is to essentially invest your way in, the so-called EB-5 program. And I've done a separate tape on that if anybody wants to see that and get more details.
How do you help clients avoid a showdown with immigration officials at the border?
This is one of the most important areas for clients that come in to see me. They're traveling, they have everything planned. For example, I had a young bride that was going to get married in the United States, a client who came in after she had this problem. She bought her wedding dress. She had all her invitations out. They had arranged the ceremony, everything, and she was flying down to get married. She had her dress with her, and she was stopped at the border by U.S. officials asking, well, do you have a visitor's visa or the appropriate visa to go to the United States to get married? She didn't, and she was blocked, and her wedding was ruined. So those are some of the kinds of issues that I deal with, and I can help people with in terms of getting the right message across at the border when they're dealing with immigration officials. I help them by preparing them in advance, indicating what kind of questions they're going to be asked and how best to answer the questions truthfully, but in a way that smooths and facilitates their entry into the United States.
And finally, Andy, let's just say someone has a criminal record. Will a criminal offense be a problem for them at the border?
Almost invariably, yes. There are a few exceptions. The exception that in particular that I want to mention is a petty offense exception, where a one-time offense, which is minor in nature, may make it possible for you to go to the United States, notwithstanding that you have that offense on your record. But it's safe to check with an immigration attorney about something like that before trying to make an entry into the United States. You probably need a waiver, but it's something that can be obtained if you work with an immigration lawyer.
Okay, Andy, thanks again for joining us. Andy can be contacted through Pace Law Firm in Toronto at 888-531-0921 or by email at asimichuk@pacelawfirm.com. Once again, thanks for visiting Pace Law Firm, and we'll see you next time.